Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host. And as you can see with me, I have one of our regular distinguished guests, Dr. Shahab Enam Khan from Bangladesh, who is a distinguished scholar of international relations, Bangladesh foreign policy, South Asian politics, conflict resolution. He's also well known for his work in development in the region. He is currently with the Bangladesh University of Professionals, but his home base is Jahangir University, one of the prominent universities in Bangladesh. And what is also interesting is that Dr. Khan has got his PhD from JNU in Delhi, and his advisor is a very good friend of mine, Bharadwaj, Dr. Bharadwaj, who has also been a guest on this show. And Shahab has also been a Fulbright Fellow and scholar, visiting scholar at the University of Delaware. He is well known in South Asian circles, but he is globally well known. One of the places that I met him was in Amman. If you remember, we ran into
Yes.
outside a restaurant in Jordan. So, welcome to Conversations, Shahab.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor always, sir.
Thank you very much for joining. So let's dive straight into it. Things when Khalilur Rahman went in April, it was actually on my father's birthday to India, and he met. And I was very surprised that right away it was supposed to be a transit visit. He was actually going somewhere else, right, to Mauritius, but he went, stopped over in Delhi. He met Dr. Jaishankar, Ajit Doval, Piyush Goyal, and he met actually another minister. I don't remember who the fourth person was. So he had some very prominent meetings over 2 days, and so there was a lot of talk about how uh, this is a reset of Indo-Bangladesh relations, because things had gone really bad after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina and during the period of Muhammad Yunus. So there was a lot of optimism on both sides. I thought, I spoke with some other Bangladeshis. They felt that things are going to get better. But then I think this bomb that Sheikh Hasina dropped through her press conference, I think really it's like, a sheer khurma that we prepare for Eid. It's like it takes, sometimes we cook it for 2-3 days, right? So you keep a big bowl of milk on fire for 3-4 days and drop one drop of lime in it, and the whole thing is gone bad. And I think that's what Sheikh Hasina's press conference did. She destroyed whatever reset button was pressed. So I want to get an understanding as to how big a shock it was, because clearly I'm sure India's explanation that, oh, this was a private event, we had nothing to do with it. I don't buy that. I don't think anybody is buying that. So how did people in Bangladesh, especially the government and the strategic community, receive Sheikh Hasina's press conference? Just the holding of it and the contents of that conference.
Thank you very much, sir. I think this is a very, very important question, which has multiple interpretation, and in most cases, it's a very misleading interpretation that we get to hear from different communities, whether it is in India, Pakistan, or any other places. But I'm being very honest and frank over here that what actually went wrong. I think you have rightly mentioned the foreign minister went all the way to Delhi on his way to Mauritius to mend the relationship better. It is
Mhm.
not that he did it for the first time, but he was national security person and high representative for Myanmar under the interim government too. So his government also tried to have some sort of reasonable engagement with India. The problem was not with Bangladesh because it was going through a massive transition, as you see. I mean,
Mhm.
the government was struggling with economics, institutions, security, and everything, as anything that would happen to a country that is going through transition politically. And that transition is not a small transition from one power to another power. It was a paradigm change. So
Mhm.
14 years of government, the whole institutions is broken, institutions are broken and stuff like that. Now, within that period of time, there should have been some sort of, I would say, proper understanding that the country is going through transition, and they really don't have enough impetus as well as enough resources to really remobilize an entire relationship, which is otherwise the job of the politicians. So you don't have politicians. Now, even then, Dr. Yunus tried to have a meaningful engagement with India, which was not received in a very positive way. The statements from Delhi side was that they showed their interest to engage with an elected government. Now, the elected government came in February, of course, and once that happened, India was very forthcoming, came up and said, hey, we want to engage with the elected government and move forward. Fantastic. And everybody said, okay, that's fair enough. But in the subsequent months, the problem was that in December, Ganges is expiring. Tista is not there. Now you have seen in West Bengal push in coming in. So DG level meeting between BSF and BGP happened, and BGP mentioned it very strongly that many of the people who are sitting in the border are your own people, and BJP actually agreed, and the lists were handed over. So they say everything has a process. You just don't push somebody to the border, and then our job is just to take them in. I mean, we are now hosting almost 1.2 million refugees from Myanmar. It's a very small country, 144,000 square kilometer, almost Odisha sort of size. So, so the point was that, and then of course you get to see the Indian media narrative. I mean that, if it was like 20 years back, sir, I mean, you remember in 80s and 90s, we used to have antenna on our roof, and those antenna used to come with a lot of gadgets and small, so that we can actually see other countries, right? I mean, that's not the time. I mean, probably Indian media is still sticking itself to those days, but now if you see that everybody has access to information. Now, every toxic, even let me make a little joke, even our conversation will probably incur into many, bullies
Yeah,
and everything. So we
yeah,
have to live with those things. But at the end of the day, but when it comes to the mainstream media, people are not going to take it. So here, Bangladesh has two demands. One is those days of Sheikh Hasina is over. So it's a new Bangladesh engaging with every country in a new way, including Pakistan. China remains a constant factor. So China has always been, whether it is Sheikh Hasina, former Prime Minister Khalda Zia, General Esha, the General Zia, and of course now Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, has always been constant. So that's nothing. And the same way the Americans have been constant. This continuity happened. The only country where we didn't have the continuity from the 5th of August 2024 was India. And naturally, the question was, where has India disappeared over that particular night of 5th August 2024? Because people were also accusing that India being accomplice to not Bangladesh, accomplice to one particular political party, which is obviously. And then the subsequent problem is this particular political party, particularly, is running their political activities from different countries, including India. So it is not only India alone, but many other countries. Now, this is where the problem comes from the public. And when uh, Prime Minister came to power, Tariq Rahman came with an astronomical mandate. This is for the first time in our history where foreign policy is in the hands of the public, not in the hands of the politicians only. So even Khalilur Rahman, or even if you go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they will always be accountable to the public. And this is where compromise is almost impossible. You can be diplomatic a bit, but you can't. So the diplomacy's major problem was that the political gap was so high that the room for diplomatic maneuver is almost constrained. Even then, our High Commissioner to Delhi, Riaz Hamidullah, at that time Pranav Verma, and currently the Indian High Commissioner with the cabinet status, Mr. Dinesh Trivedi, they're trying their best. But the point is not there. Point is what is coming from the politicians, particularly BJP politicians. And then that has unfolded. Now, when Tariq Rahman is
so you're
expected to.
telling us that the biggest barrier to improving relations is the Bangladeshi reaction to hate speech coming from Bangladesh Indian leaders.
I mean, definitely, this is a big issue. I mean, we
I,
can
I
always
mean,
deny
I
it.
mean, this has been going on, especially the current elections in Assam and West Bengal. There was so much
Correct.
hatred against Bangladeshis, and of course, Amit Shah calling Bangladeshis as Dimak, if you
Termites.
remember. Yes.
And then coming up with all this ridiculous idea that the border should be guarded by crocodiles and so on. No, this might be, if this is the quality of politics, and Bangladesh says, well, if this is the quality of politics from a country of 1.4 billion population, one of the largest economies in the world, uh, and people are speaking like a very irresponsible towards a country which is like less than West Bengal.
So, Shahab, I mean, I know that you're quite connected there in Dhaka. You speak to people in the Foreign Office, etc. So, how did they take this meeting, this press conference that Sheikh Hasina held? Did it come as a surprise shock, or did you get any intimation earlier on that something like this is going on, is going to happen?
I mean, I was coming to that, sir, and I
Uh-huh.
think the context was that, look, all these irritations and everything, and Bangladeshis really have to focus on their own economy. And the prime minister's biggest issue is to deliver. So remember the terms that deliver. He has to deliver if he wants. Now you have Jamaat-e-Islami as a formidable political party in the opposition. So it's no joke. So they are equally becoming very strong. So therefore we have a very vibrant parliament. They're fighting each other, but definitely the parliament is running. Now, in that case, if the prime minister is in Delhi, people will be asking that, yes, gone are days of Sheikh Hasina. What are the meaningful deliverable that we have with India? So in that case, while some progress made, of course, in both bilateral time, but Dhaka got the early warning. Not only warning is the wrong way. I mean, Dhaka got the information that Sheikh Hasina is going to hold a press conference. Now, it is not a surprise. Absolutely not. Nobody in Dhaka's policy-making circle were surprised, and everybody knew that at some point of time this will happen, and in future some few more things will happen, and everybody knows it because this is a pattern and trend coming from the BJP politics, and if you do the trend analysis, you will get it immediately. So it was not surprising. It was not, but what was surprising is the denial. And you may argue that is denial a new thing? No, of course not. But we actually expected some, I would say, very sane way of telling that when you say that the Indian government is not involved with it, so of course, Indian government is not going to involve itself with it. But a person who is living in India,
Yeah.
who is accused of uh, war crime sort of magnitude sort of crime, and under a sovereign law, she is giving a press statement. That's really kind of a like demeaning
Yeah.
towards the sovereignty of a state. So remember the term sovereignty, and I have repeatedly told my friends in both India and Bangladesh that sovereignty is the red line for anybody. Like the Chinese would always come, hey, sovereignty, period, no discussion. Now that sovereignty understanding became much more complicated in Bangladesh by saying, fine, if she is talking over there, fine, she is doing whatever she is doing over there, please don't justify by saying that the state doesn't have anything to do. I mean, what visa is she holding? I mean, what kind of status she is holding? If she's holding a political status, she's not supposed to give a political statement. If she is holding a tourist visa, then she should not. I mean, every
Yeah.
visa comes with, and if you look at the American visa regime right now, it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
clear. You can't do X and Y and Z things. So it's a very simple thing that if you don't know, then Dhaka is interpreting what happened. Do they have a very serious intelligence problem or interministerial problem, which is not a good thing to think about? Is it that they have done it deliberately? Well, which is a possibility. And then if they think that they a highly democratic state and allowing anybody and everybody to talk. But Sheikh Hasina's case is very different because she is under a sovereign legal system, not in the best of shape. So I think the people immediately reacted on the basis of that. And even I say that, this will die down in 2, 3 days and 4 days because everybody now understands the playbook, how to put some sort of political pressure on Bangladesh. So this playbook is now very much clear. So, and as you have seen, within 3, 4, 5 days, it has actually died down. And I think the former prime minister has her own position. She has ruled this country for 14 years, and she's living in India. Of course, it is her personal choice how she's going to conduct her day-to-day affairs, we being a democratic country. But at the same time, the demand from Dhaka was that it is not only the issue of the press statement, but it is also the issue of others. It is not only that the former prime minister is in Delhi. There are many other elements are walking around in Calcutta, Delhi, and other places. So I think
Like
all
the
this
killers of
accumulated.
Osman Hadi, right?
Yes. So all these accumulated, and Osman Hadi's killers probably, I would assume that even Indian law would be very, very serious about it because this is a case of murder. And Osman Hadi's killers are not political, but obviously the reason was political. But Sheikh Hasina's case is very political, and we understand that it has to be handled in a different way. So altogether, I think Dhaka was not surprised. Dhaka was extremely irritated with this, and Dhaka understands that this will happen. And I'm quite sure Dhaka understands that even if Prime Minister is in Delhi, is it going to be a photograph ceremony, or we are coming back with something really tangible that the people are asking for? Water, connectivity, transshipment, and so. And there is a funny thing that goes on in Indian media that we are buying diesel from India, and well, it's not coming for free. So we pay. If you don't pay, someone else will pay. So it's a pure market way of thinking. So
Mhm.
Dhaka has started to see what is
Oh
the
yeah.
fundamental difference between Sheikh Hasina's time and Tariq Rahman's time is that Indians need to understand that earlier it was political and more, emotional and so on. And this one is more transactional in a sense by saying I'm accountable to the public. And after 2024, I mean, if there is no delivery, there's no point of going back to Delhi and have some photo optics, which will only serve BJP's domestic political agenda.
I just remember the other guy was Hardeep Singh Puri, the Minister of Oil of India, that Khalil Rahman
Yes.
met. So I don't want to belabor the Sheikh Hasina thing, but as you are aware that I have written about this, and from day one, I on my show I've repeatedly said that India should not have housed her because I was very clear that as long as she's staying in India, if I was in Bangladesh, I would think that India is going to try a regime change and bring her back. That is how I would see what India is doing. UK didn't want her. US didn't want her. I mean, they could have sent her to Dubai or Singapore and she could have enjoyed herself there. But uh, the narrative in India is that, oh, the Prime Minister Modi wants to have a bilateral with the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. So we sent the president, the vice president for the inauguration, and two invitations have been sent. So for some reason, there seems to be a high level bilateral summit is what he's seeking. Uh, and so the chatter in India is also that even Tariq Rahman wanted to come. He's not that keen on the BRICS issue. If I was advising your prime minister, I would say go for the BRICS because then you can hang out with Xi Jinping and maybe with Putin and meet with others also while you are at that summit. But do you think that India is trying to is signaling that we can leverage you through Sheikh Hasina? We have leverage over you. So it was allowing that, and the rhetoric that came from her son, it's saying that Bangladesh will become one of the biggest terrorist countries on earth. Oh my God! I mean, that man, he hopes to come back one day and rule the country that he's labeling as the biggest terrorist country on earth. So, was this a threat to Bangladesh that we have leverage over you from the Indian side?
Sorry, sir. I don't think there is any. I'm being extremely honest over
Yeah,
here.
I
I mean,
understand,
why?
but
If you look at Prime Minister, I mean, Prime Minister, the first thing he did is he went to Beijing. And was it like, one fine morning we wake up and say, okay, we want to show something to India, let's go to Beijing? Absolutely not. Even if you look at Sheikh Hasina's time, I mean, she visited Beijing like anything, left and right. And
yeah,
under her time, BRI was signed in 2016, right?
yeah,
Even if you go to former Prime Minister Khaldazia, extremely good relationship with Beijing. Hussein Mohammad Ershad had a very, that was the time when the Chinese started to really become very strong in the defense, and because it's pure market, sir. I mean, we have to serve the Western market, and that is the reason our economy runs. So we have to balance between Washington and Beijing, and Washington remains as the core market. You are sitting in Delaware, you know it very well. Maryland, you know it very well,
yeah,
that how much Bangladeshi economy is reflecting in Walmart and anywhere you
yeah,
go. And it's a small country. And Beijing offers. And then we have a perennial problem. I mean, perennial problem in a sense over the last 9 years, 1.2 million population from Myanmar sitting here. And on the other side, it's a border. I mean, ethnic conflict is going on. I mean, for the last 6 decades, and that affects us like anything. So therefore, I think Beijing became one of the important actor, as well as the U.S. with under the Burma Act, as you have Brave Burma Act and stuff. So we now have options really to explore how best we can engage with Myanmar in the coming years. The whole idea of terrorism. I mean, even Sheikh Hasina's time, every joint communique you would find a counter-terrorism comes in. I mean, the most secular person that India would believe that is in the helm of Bangladesh's power, why is it coming time to time? Or even when former Prime Minister Khaldazia's time, India constantly talked about extremism. But look at this, the least possible death came from extremism in Bangladesh. Almost minuscule if you take the population of a, but have we denied that we don't have problem? Yes, we do have problem, and I think Bangladesh is closely working with the US, the Chinese, and has worked with India repeatedly when it comes to counterterrorism. Now when counterterrorism becomes political and a bargain chip, it loses the momentum, and that's exactly what has happened. So therefore, every morning Bangladeshis are becoming, Taliban and everything. Unfortunately, when you get to see Taliban Foreign Minister Mr. Muttaqi sitting in Delhi, everything becomes nice.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so you understand that the kind of hypocrisy that Bangladeshis read
In
repeatedly.
fact,
So Bangladeshis are now
India's best
seeing.
friend in the region now is radical Islam, Taliban.
Absolutely. And then they come up and say, I mean, Bangladesh is becoming extremist. I mean, the problem is 1.5 years of this media propaganda and everything. I mean, looking into anybody. And look at how Jamaati Islami has come to power. Jamaati is not power in a sense, I mean, in the politics. I mean, they were pushed 15 years out of the game. I mean, everybody told that keep it open. And then you misuse the term 1971, which has become very, very heavy on Awami League. And Awami League was repeatedly warned that don't politicize the thing that makes two countries, Bangladesh, India, coming closer. People in Bangladesh remain unified, and you have just made it a personal property. I mean, and that narrative, as you see now, that anti-China narrative that George Soros has actually funded Cockroach Janata Party and everything, and then
Yeah,
Bangladeshis are behind it. These are, I mean, everybody knows that, I mean, when you reach a peak and not going anywhere, you invent the foreigners as the evil of. So what was the role of your political institutions, social institutions, that they couldn't stop Soros from coming and taking over Delhi streets? So these are all things are read in Dhaka very clearly, and asking that, look, is India going to give the regional security? Well, their relationship with Pakistan is quite clear. and the Pakistan-Myanmar relation, Pakistan-China relationship. And trust me, Pakistan-Afghanistan relationship will improve like anything with the extension of China-Pakistan economic corridor in the
Yeah.
coming years. For now, you are having, for 1 or 2 years, you are probably going to have laddu from Haldiram. But trust me, I mean, the Chinese will fix it. Now, Chinese are fixing Bangladesh, Myanmar, China corridor too. Now, India will read, we are encircling, everybody is encircling India. Well, you could have been a part of
Yeah.
the
The BRI.
solution. And we have always offered that please solve our connectivity problem. And after 2024, 5th of August, transshipment to Nepal and Bhutan for Bangladesh was suspended. Who does this thing? Because of political. So market is seen as a politics, a source of political economy in Delhi, which is not the case of Bangladesh. So Bangladesh really needs to feed its people. Bangladesh needs to continue its economic growth and stay stable.
So if you look at the US Bangladesh relations under Donald Trump, there hasn't been any significant changes. So it is kind of stable as it was. But if you look at this quadrilateral, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, China, it is very clear that the distance between Bangladesh and India has increased while the distance between Pakistan and Bangladesh is shrinking. And of course, China has become more involved in the domestic economic aspect, developmental aspect of Bangladesh. Even those two ports, your two prominent ports and economic free zones, which were actually to be developed by India, have now been cancelled and given to China, as I understand. So the China's footprint economically is increasing, but there is still a lot of dependency on India, isn't it? Whether it is the Tista River project, the transshipment. I was surprised to learn about the transshipment, that it is cheaper to ship through things through India than your own ports at some point. And then the medical tourism, educational tourism, and then raw material for your own export. So there is a lot of supply chain related and connectivity related dependency on India. Uh, can India use that as a leverage, or is India using it right now to sort of pressure Bangladesh? And will that mean that it will drive you more and more towards China? Because I can see Pakistan as a strategic partner, but I don't see Pakistan as an economic alternative to India in anywhere. It neither has the market nor the resources. So, how do you assess this dependency of Bangladesh on India for economic issues?
No, I think what changed since 2024 is Bangladesh is looking towards all of its neighbors from a very, very economic point of view. I'm being very candid over here. The very simple reason is the economy needs to improve, and the
Yeah.
economy that Tarek Rahman and Dr. Yunus inherited in the past was much more of a talk shop rather than substance. So they really focus on that. And when you mention Pakistan, the normalization of relationship should not be seen as a relationship that is elevated to strategic level, but definitely the any like any other important country, and Pakistan is very important at the moment. When you look into Iran, when you look into Mecca Pact,
Mm.
and Pakistan's relationship with both the major powers, I mean superpowers, the United States and China.
China.
So therefore, the whole idea of Pakistan is very different since Hormuz. And at the same time, the Muslim countries read India's prime minister's visit just before the war
To
in
Israel, yeah.
Jerusalem and others in a very, very negative way. I mean, so I think all these things has accumulated far more greater relationship with Pakistan, and it's a relationship on the basis of transactionality once again. And we also have to have a relationship with Pakistan, even if we want to address India's security concern, because if you don't have intelligence or defense or security or economic relationship and people-to-people relationship, then certainly you don't address the counterterrorism issues together too. So I think that's one part of the story. The second part, when you mentioned that Indian dependency. Um, I think I would rather say that the cooperation between Bangladesh and India and economic relationship actually has grown during the interim time and, of course, the current regime. But as I mentioned, that when you make market politicized, the all hell breaks. If you look just as an example of West Bengal, I mean, of course, West Bengal has structural economic problem and so on. But at the same time, the moment Bangladeshi stopped going there, the whole tourism industry, shopping industry, or perhaps medical industry was almost in the verge of collapse. And even if you look at the medical industry, and Bangladeshis go there not out of charity, but for sure they purchase the medical service, and our medical service hasn't grown. And it's a country of 1.4 billion population, and you're supposed to get some good medical treatment over there. Even I go there, my parents would go there, and everybody in Bangladesh would go there. And culture is an important issue, because if you go to Kunming, you're probably going to have a very different culinary and linguistic issues than what you would get in India. So that makes, and now when you make it sound like that it is a dependency, I think that really tells the people, well, we don't go and get it for free. Now, it contributes to Indian treasury, frankly speaking,
Yes, yes,
one
huge.
out of,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
out
It is
of,
like 13 to 14 billion dollar trade between the two
yes.
countries.
And then the trade, and trade is definitely one when we have a deficit, and the deficit is in favor of India, and that means that the trade relationship is healthy. I mean, a lot of people would argue that look, deficit. No, no, no. Deficit is not about buying and selling. Deficit is also about the size of economy, and Indian
Mhm.
economy is one of the largest economy. But even if you look at this 1.4 billion population country, per capita income or between Bangladesh and India is not really significantly. Bangladesh is lesser. I mean, almost to head.
Yeah.
But the problem is inflation in Dhaka is far in India. Energy dependency is far higher than India. And I think 2 years of political disengagement really didn't make both the countries to become super dependent on each other. And Bangladesh reads it very well. I mean, Bangladesh says that, look, even if you look at the China-India relationship, I mean, BJP narratives that China is under their thumb is probably is quite interesting one, because $150 billion trade between China and India, in which $100 billion trade deficit favor of Beijing. So I think
Oh,
that
it's
kind
much
of
more.
economy, as long as we allow market to function, I believe the relationship between Bangladesh and India will remain very solid. The moment you bring the political, I mean, myopia, whether it is in Dhaka or Beijing, and then of course you have this ridiculous media coming in, and I think the relationship really gets a toll.
I think increasingly the Indian mainstream media I think has become a national security threat to India, whether it was during Operation Sindoor or even during the Jantar Mantar protests. The way they cover it, they seem to have only one purpose: no matter what, we want to glorify
Right.
Modi, and then they are prone to cooking up false narratives, etc. So it is now clear that, I mean, obviously, the Prime Minister Tariq Rahman is not going to India. He should have been there today or tomorrow, right? Those were the dates India had suggested. And I was looking at India's 26-27 budget. If you look at the Ministry of External Affairs budget, India is still, Bangladesh is still the second largest recipient of India's foreign aid, which is not much. But after Bhutan receives the largest. I think it's about 250 million. So India has budgeted at least some kind of foreign aid for Bangladesh. So that to me was interesting, whether they are doing that or not. But what will it take to improve the relations between the two countries? I'm not sure whether your prime minister will go for BRICS. I think he should, because BRICS is not just about India. But what will improve the relationship? Is it going to be that Sheikh Hasina's extradition will be the linchpin. If that doesn't happen, then there will be no improvement in the diplomatic and other relations. And will they continue to trade while having this political tension because of Sheikh Hasina?
No, I think, sir, one critical issue over here would be the Prime Minister's position on India. I mean, Prime Minister still takes a very reasonable liberal position on India. Only the thing is that what are we going to talk about when we go to Delhi? What are the deliverables? Is this going to be the only thing that political community over here would struggle with? Is it going to be a photo optics for BJP's domestic politics and telling that, well, Bangladesh is under control sort of thing?
Mhm.
So we don't need those things. I mean, we very frankly, we need uh, market right now. We need economics. We need water, and water cannot be weaponized. And even if you look at the whole Tista or 54 water, we have been talking about it for donkey's year now. But the problem is it's not being delivered. And Tariq Rahman's question, everybody will ask question that Ganges expires in December, Tista is there, everything is there. So what are you doing over there? Is the water coming? Well, again, maybe, maybe not. So political community doesn't know that whether there will be a genuine commitment and standing coming from BJP politics. Again, I'm separating MEA and others with the political rhetorics. And then Prime Minister has already met Xi Jinping, and Prime Minister is scheduled to meet few other people in the coming months. So therefore, I don't think that meeting the other leaders is a priority for Tariq Rahman at the moment. I think he is choosing the countries right now that would contribute to. Even if you look at Malaysia, he was in Malaysia
Yeah.
because we have the second largest, probably the second largest
The
Bangladeshi
diaspora.
labor market in Malaysia. We have gone for artificial intelligence and technology cooperation with Malaysia. We don't want to be in the entanglement of geopolitics of artificial intelligence and technology too. So we are looking for new markets, new options, new supply chain. And at the same time, I think the Prime Minister also wants to have much more of a reasonable conversation with India. Even if you go and talk, it will be more about Sheikh Hasina dominated perception everyone, and we don't want to get into that unnecessary thing because Bangladeshis have a lot of jobs to do, what to do to earn their own means. So altogether, this is where the whole situation stands at the moment. Now, the final issue that you have mentioned raised that what would be Bangladesh's relationship look like in the coming year, if that is the right question, sir,
Mhm.
with India. And I think relationship will improve today and tomorrow. I mean, it's just a matter of time because 2024, because Delhi was used to with a Dhaka for 14 years, which is gone, right? And even in 2005, 6, there was a guy called some Karleker, who wrote a book, Bangladesh Next Afghanistan. But apparently looks like Afghanistan is in Delhi. So,
Yeah.
and you come up that because these people are Muslims, just put some dump on them and
Uh,
then everything is here. So, Bangladesh doesn't play this Muslim identity or any other identity as such. As you have seen, as a scholar, you would know we have our own problem. I mean, then I was looking into this disinformation lab stuff, many stuff that, all the narratives about that Hindus are being persecuted, 90% are actually coming from Indian territory. I mean, not coming to Dhaka and writing a Facebook post in that, and then you form a opinion. Form an opinion is not a great way to see a country.
yeah.
What I must warn you, sir, and I must warn you over here, this is where my fear is. You see, Bangladesh and India historically had a social relationship,
Yeah.
cultural
Culture.
relation, right? So that social relationship is increasingly becoming ruptured because Bangladeshis are now worried whether they will go to India, will they be subject to harassment, will there be lynching, and we are now seeing those news everywhere.
Mhm.
With some are fictitious, some are misinformation, some are disinformation. But the fact at the end of the day, as I always say, that Pakistan was the largest victim of its own terrorism. India is the largest victim of its own media. Even the Soviet Union and others couldn't survive with Pravda, and you remember, sir, and
Sure.
they couldn't. It's not China, who has its own ecosystem. So therefore, today India's politics is heavily affected by its own media. So you're right, sir, and I think the national security, because Bangladesh's relationship has to improve with India, and Bangladesh needs that space. I mean, we can write 10,000 comments in our chat box and say, okay, these are two Muslim fundamentalists sitting over there and debating on India's security. But at the end of the day, if you ask that, did you get anything out of these toxic narratives? Society is now increasing, right? I mean,
They're making India very fragile. It could
absolutely, they
fracture
have
the
already.
society across religion, across caste, and the violence that was unleashed upon the Jantar Mantar protesters was horrific. So yes, people don't realize this, and India itself is going to face a few challenges with the census and the reallocation of seats in the parliament and the north-south divide, which is like, I mean, the south is $5,000 per capita GDP. The north is like
These
in
are
Bihar.
educated people,
Yeah.
enlightened, educated people,
So yes,
cultural. Even the oldest mosque in India is in the south.
the oldest mosque in Kerala is one of the oldest. I mean, the if you believe the story, it was built while the Prophet peace be upon him was alive.
Right.
Yes, so in the one in Kerala. So my last question to you, that the mood in, so when I went to Sri Lanka, I went to Sri Lanka in January, and they were recovering from the the hurricane that had hit them very badly. And but there was a lot of optimism from all the think tanks that I visited, the university, talking to students, faculty, policymakers. They seem to be very enthusiastic about their new government. So when I asked them point blank, where is the enthusiasm coming from, and their answer was that the trust in government has been restored, and the proof of it was the NRI sending money to the government to take care of the crisis as a result of the hurricane, the damage. So that the public is giving money to the government to fix problems, and that to them was a sign. So my question to you is: now that you have an elected government which has been there since February, about 6 months, is the public in Bangladesh trusting this government to fix the problems that had led them to rise against Sheikh Hasina's rule?
The first thing is the result of the election. I mean, this is one of the most fair election that has happened. If
But
Dr.
people
Yunus
will
will
say
be,
that excluding Awami League makes it less
no,
than
I
fair.
mean, excluding Awami League doesn't mean that the election wasn't fair.
No, it's like
Doesn't
excluding
doesn't mean they
Imran
could have,
Khan's party in Pakistan.
no, they could have come and participate in election independently. Even if you give them the chance, would they come to the public? I mean, this rubbish statement that coming from different political entities of the former, half of them fled away.
Okay.
I mean, the cabinet fled away. I mean, if they want to contest for election, you open them. Would they come back? No, absolutely no. The corrupt ones are having money abroad, and yeah, Dr. Yunus and Tariq Rahman's biggest issue is to get that money back. I mean, the amount of money that we have sent out over the past 2 decades is astronomically high. It has to come back. So going back to your question, sir, I think the election result shows the turnout, voter turnout. I mean, it's not like I mean, why did so many people actually came to the polling booth? Because they want to vote. Now, that means they are having the confidence on the parliament, and they want to see that there is an election. So that's the first indicator. So they came. Massive turnout, not a single casualty. One or two casualty happened because of two parties fighting each other, but that did not put any security toll in. And the second reason why Dr. Yunus will be considered as one of the greatest person to give an election is that you have seen that no massive casualty or anything. which was
Mhm.
the regular feature since 1980s, that people are killing each other, fighting each other. No, nothing happened. So people wanted to go to the polling booth, free and fair, easy, gave the cast their vote, came back. Now the third third one, that once you have cast the vote, the result. So result was not heavily disputed by anybody. Yeah, of course, you always have some subcontinental mentality that when you lose, you become, radical and say, okay, there was a
Yeah.
conspiracy and so on. But well, that didn't affect the election at all. So the new government came, new government is in parliament, opposition is in parliament, NCP, which is the junior party of Jamaat Islami right now, so National Citizen Party, they have come to parliament and parliament function. Now the question of trust. So the element of trust is here. But this element of trust is still weak. And I'm being very, 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 I would say, very, very neutral over here by saying
Yes.
that, the weak, because it depends on how BNP is going to deliver. If BNP is not delivering, then certainly we are going to see that people now have options, right?
Mhm.
And that option is the main deterrence in the politics. And forget BJP interpretation or Delhi interpretation, the bubble interpretation. But at the end of the day, it is the public. I mean, the way people supports Hindutva, the way people supports saffron extremism and so on, there are always elements like that everywhere. So it is nothing new. So the more you become extremist, but the neighborhood becomes extremist, the country will become more radical too. It's a common phenomenon everywhere. You go to Europe and anywhere you are seeing that. So the point is that the trust is there, but it is still weak. So government has long way to go. They don't have time for photo optics in Delhi unless there are concrete deliverables. They didn't have enough time to go to Beijing for photo optics. Tariq Rahman came back with the multiple issues. Some are continuing from the previous government, some are new, some when time will be there, he will be going to Washington. He's going to the United States in September. So I think he's trying his level best. So is Jamaat Islami trying their level best to have better communication with public, with better deliverables. So this time it is not. I mean, even if you take Bangladesh media for an example, you're not going to see that politicians are shooting garbage left and right. Now, I think that's a qualitative change we are now seeing.
Will Tariq Rahman go to India if they give him an award?
I doubt. I doubt, because I don't think he has the appetite for an award and come back and say, I've got an
Yeah.
award. I don't think anybody's got that.
I think your point is right. I think ultimately that the young people should have trust in the system. And so they have, I think, extended goodwill towards the current government by saying, okay, we trust you, we'll come out and vote. So I think that BNP should, there are two things. One, they have to do things to deliver. And there are also things that they should not do, which is corruption and also the nepotism which was seen during the Awami
No,
League.
absolutely, sir. I think if we don't come out of our colonial hangover in politics, we will be doomed once again. So I think that kind of sense is prevailing. Now, the problem is that Hormuz became a
Yeah.
major problem for us. I mean, we are paying the inflation price, energy price, and everything. These are not created by us.
Yes.
And we are not a party to that. I mean,
And
even India is suffering equally. I mean,
I'm sorry to
despite
say, it's my
Modi media
country which
or
is
Modi
making
media,
people
whatever you
suffer.
call it, trying to
Yeah.
justify the price hike of gas cylinder. I mean, this is hilarious that we get to see. Come on. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your own people who are paying for it, like our
Yeah.
own people paying for it. I mean, the moment you increase your expenditure on other households,
Yep.
means you're reducing your expenditure for your health and food and so on. I mean, shelter and everything. I mean, come on. I mean, through you, one message to the Indian media is wake up.
It's $93 right now, and the price is going up. And Scott Bessent, you saw the stupid answer he gave. said, I can't understand why the price is going up today. So he, like yesterday, it was around 88, and in the last few hours, it has gone from 88 to 93, the Brent price. So yes, I think Donald Trump's Israel first foreign policy is going to prove very expensive, not just for the US and Iran, but also for the rest of the world.
And I'm
Shahab,
surprised, sir.
yeah.
I'm surprised that people are actually supporting the whole thing. Like, uh, yes, whatever is happening, we will be siding with X country and Y country. But at the end of the day, it is your own economy
Well,
suffering.
this war is not very supported. Like 70 to 80% of Americans are against it. Even the Republicans are
No, no,
against
I'm not
it.
talking about Americans, sir. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
your
in my
neighbors.
own neighborhood. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, they
come
are
on, is
kind of.
it only because they're beating the Muslims and
Yeah,
that's why you're having the
I
fun?
think that
Well,
there's a
good luck with
small.
that.
Uh, I think there are very few countries now in the world which are sympathetic towards Israel and India, and that too a section of India. It's not the whole of India. If you actually had a across the board poll, you will find that maybe one third of Indians are with Israel and two-thirds are not. Remember that Modi never got 40% of the vote in any of the elections. The
True,
vote there.
true, very true.
So, anyway, Shahab, thank you very much for your contribution, thoughtful contribution, and honesty and frankness. I wish Bangladesh and all of you all the best. Bangladesh was, can potentially be an example for the region in terms of some of the achievements, like if you compare to say Pakistan in terms of population control, in the empowerment of women, and also in terms of democratic access to the people. I mean, Bangladesh has done so much better than what Pakistan has done since 1971. And so I think the trajectory overall was in the right direction. And unfortunately, the authoritarianism of Sheikh Hasina kind of ruined the momentum. So hopefully you will be back on track. We will continue talking. And
Thank you,
Shahab,
sir.
once again, thank you very much. Do me a small favor once we log off. Don't leave the web page. Just leave it like that. So the way StreamYard works is that it's recorded everything on your laptop or desktop, whatever you're using, and if you leave it like that after I turn off, it will upload uh, in a better way. So,
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 what shall I do, sir?
so once we log off, and I say, bye, just leave it on like that on the page. So don't close the StreamYard page, the page that you are
Okay,
on. Yeah, just
okay,
leave it
so
like that for about 10-15 minutes. That's all, if you can.
okay, so I can turn off the video.
Yeah, you can turn off the video. I will turn it off, the whole thing. There will be nothing running. There will be no connection between us. But as long as you don't leave this page, the StreamYard
Hmm.
page, it will take about 15-20 minutes to upload because of I was checking the speed of the connection. It was a bit slow. Okay.
Yeah,
But
all
we
set.
won't be connected. Don't worry about it. So
Okay.
like whatever you do now, dance or something, no one will see it.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Okay, sure.
please convey my regards to Bhabi and please
Yeah.
tell her that I miss her food like anything. And I have got a rotimatic, by the way,
Oh, you got the Rotomatic. Yeah.
inspired by her, but
I,
unfortunately, that has been stolen by my sister.
so you need another
I
one.
mean, because she's a lazy brat, she took it and she's using it. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got it from Singapore.
Yes. Take care. Thank you very much.
Okay, ji,
Bye.
ji. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.